Hello, sports fans. Today we'll be reviewing Week 17 and talking about the Antonio Brown controversy that has been going on. So first game, we will be talking about Bills-Falcons. Bills win 29-15. This didn't come as a surprise to anybody. This just shows that the Bills can be really balanced. Evan Singletary had an amazing game, 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. I really don't think anybody picked Falcons to win except Falcon fans themselves. Moving on, Bears-Giants. Bears win 29-3. Another not surprising win, even though both teams aren't the best. I still think most people had the Bears to win. I knew the Bears would win, not by 26. Saquon did make it competitive. 21 carries, 102 yards. Chiefs-Bengals, a comeback win for the Bengals. I saw the score. I was watching the game. I thought the Bengals were done. I thought there was no chance that the Bengals would come back, but Jamar Chase, oh my goodness, 11 receptions, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. Carried them to this game. Joe Burrow also had an amazing game. 30 for 39, 446 yards, 4 touchdowns. Talk about an amazing duo right there. Just Kansas City. I mean, they had a really good game too. Darrell Williams, their running back, 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. And they got some through the air as well. This game, it really shows how the Chiefs can be really inconsistent at times. I know this was a close game that doesn't show, but they couldn't close this game out. 14 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second, 0 in the third, and only 3 in the fourth. You just can't have it. You've got to have the ability to close these games out, and I don't know if I can trust Patrick Mahomes with how inconsistent he was through the middle of the season. So we'll have to see. I know this is a pretty big loss for the Chiefs, because even though it was a close game, this says a lot about their defense really allowing 34 points and their ability to close games out. Titans-Dolphins. Titans win 34-3. I was really rooting for the Dolphins on that nice 7-game winning streak. They kept their season alive, had a chance to go in the playoffs, and they blew it. They only scored 3 points the whole game. That was more because Tua really didn't have a good game. 18 for 38, 205 yards and an interception. Can't have 20 incompletions in a game. I don't care. If you're throwing 100, then you can have 20 incompletions, but you gotta, not out of 38. That's way too many. Having more incompletions than you do completions, that can't happen. Well, Dolphins, I think, are eliminated. They are eliminated from playoff contention. Titans, just trying to get the number 1 seed. They're trying to stay alive. All right, the Raiders-Colts. Raiders win 23-20. Jonathan Taylor, another 100-plus yard game and a touchdown. Another all-around good game for the Raiders. Derek Carr, 24 for 31, 255 yards and a touchdown. He was the main reason why they won this game. He was really on point the whole game, which really kind of helped them solidify the game and win at the end. Patriots-Jaguars 50-10. I mean, I think we were all expecting this. Mac Jones, 22 for 30, 227 yards and 3 touchdowns. Stevenson, 19 carries, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. I really don't need to spend much time on this. Trevor Lawrence, I don't know if I trust him. I don't know if I can guarantee you Mac Jones is was a better rookie QB in this game. I do think Mac Jones will be better than Trevor Lawrence. The Patriots get another really good QB. Again, I mean, the Patriots are really looking to make a deep push into the playoffs, which I think they can. They've taken out some really good teams. All right, Buccaneers 28, Jets 24. I wanted the Buccaneers to lose so bad, being a Packers fan, and what they did to us in the NFC Championship. Jets, they just couldn't hang on. They were winning the whole game. They were really dominating, I may say, through the most of the game. But then they just couldn't close out games, like I was talking about with the Chiefs. I mean, they're not the best team. They're 4-12. They just couldn't close this game out. Lucky for them, they get a better draft pick in this scenario. Maybe they really wanted to lose. Tom Brady, 34 for 50, 410 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I believe an interception. Gronk, 7 receptions, 115 yards. Great couple returns from that back injury I knew he had. It's just the Buccaneers, even though they won this game, this says so much about how inconsistent they can be. Losing to the Saints, losing to the Jets. They've lost to some pretty bad teams. Really, I don't think they really don't want to match up with anybody. They match up with a lot of people with that good defense, and of course, with Tom Brady at QB, you're going to have a good offense, and with that defense is so good. So I do think they have a potential to make it deep in the playoffs, if not a Super Bowl win. This win just scares me a little bit for the Buccaneers' sake. And I will talk about AB later in the episode. Wow, well, what the heck? That's all I have to say. Eagles, Washington. Eagles 20, Washington 16. Just shows a very complete game for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert, 6 receptions, 71 yards, and Boston Scott, I know, had a really good game as well. That was just a balanced win, and they did clinch a wild card spot because the Packers won. All right, Rams, Ravens, another comeback win by 1. I was watching, I thought the Rams were losing. I thought they were going to lose. They were losing. I thought they were going to lose the game, but apparently they came back 1 by 1. They just shows they can also be a really good team. I know Darrell Henderson is out, but they may get they get Cam Akers back, and OBJ really go-ahead TD late in the game, and Cooper Kupp 6 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. That was just a good all-around game for them. Chargers, Broncos, not a surprise to most people. Chargers 134-13. Austin Eckler 17 carries, 58 yards, a touchdown. Oh, I'm telling you, that Mike Williams catch, ooh, that's top 10. ESPN, let's go. 49ers, Texans, 49ers 23, Texans 7. 49ers, they're just such a well-rounded football team. If the run game, I think it's always going to be there for them. It's just a matter of the passing game wants to show up for that day. Trey Lance, 16 for 23, 249 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And their running back had 21 carries for 119 yards. A really good balanced game for them. I wanted the Texans to beat them by, like they did to the Chargers, because the 49ers, no one wants to match up with them. That Debo, and their amazing core running backs, even though they're all injured. That's a scary team. I don't think anyone wants to face off with them, and their defense is okay, too. All right, the most controversial game of this week. Not say year, but it was a pretty controversial one. Cardinals 25, Cowboys 22. Of course, that delay of game that they didn't call, and then the possible fumble, even though they normally give 1 second for a delay of game. Like, if you watch the Packer game, there was a delay of game for like 4 seconds and they didn't even call it. So you got to be lenient. It happens to everybody. And the fumble, they ruled him down by contact. If you see the replay, the ball may have came out before his knee hit the ground, but there's really not enough evidence to overturn the call. Like, whichever outcome it has, I think both fan bases would say that's not the right call, because it's just, the angle's not good enough. You really couldn't see what was happening with the ball and if it was in motion or anything. With the Cowboys, this is the fight to get a good playoff seed. Them and the Cardinals. Well, they both have 11-5 records. Of course, Cardinals with a tiebreaker now. I do think the Cowboys, I thought they were going to win. No D-Hop for Arizona. It felt like the Cardinals were dominating the whole game. Even though they only lost by 3, it felt like it wasn't close. Like, if you look at the scoring outbreak, 3 points for the Cardinals in the first, 10 in the second. Only Cowboys had 0 in the first and 7 in the second. Then Cardinals had 9 in the third and Cowboys had 0 in that quarter. And then fourth, the Cardinals had 3 and the Cowboys had 15. So it's really, they got most of their points late. It just felt like the Cowboys were out of it. Their defense wasn't playing good enough. And the defense in the press conference interviews, they were kind of blaming the refs, even though they weren't really in the game. It was the defense's fault they weren't in the game. They couldn't get stops. You should be able to stop Arizona offense with just Kyler Murray as their best player without D-Hop. I mean, Packers did it when they beat them. I know D-Hop was injured for half the game, but the Packers were injured. Their whole defense was injured, and they were still able to hold the Cardinals, even though it was around the same points. They were still able to pull out a victory. So I do think the Cowboys' defense, although it has been extremely better this year, I do think that is their weakness. Moving on to Panthers Saints. Saints win 18-10. Carolina's running game really kept them in the game. Chuba Hubbard, 17 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown. Really kept them in the game, but overall, Saints still alive. Lions Seahawks. Seahawks win 51-29. That is 80 total points. There's no defense there. Let's just let them score and let's get the ball and we can score. That's how it goes. I'm still happy that the Lions put up 29 points with how bad Seahawks defenses. Tim Boyle, 22 for 37, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns. They put up 30 points. The Lions put up 30 points with a backup quarterback. So, there was no defense in that game. It was just all offense. Whoever had the better offense won, which is obviously Seahawks. All right, final game that has been played. Vikings-Packers. Packers win 37-10. Aaron Rodgers, 29 for 38, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Devontae Adams, 11 receptions for 136 yards and a touchdown. This just proves that Packers are the team to beat in the NFC. They have clinched the number 1 seed, and with the win, as I stated earlier, the Eagles have clinched a wild card spot. And I think the key to this game really was holding Dalvin Cook. The Vikings, the only chance they would have to win this game is if Dalvin Cook had a monster game. And you see, Sean Mannion, sorry if I mispronounced the name, I just see S. Mannion, I think it's Sean Mannion. He had more rushing yards than Dalvin Cook, and he is not a running quarterback. He is very immobile. He's not immobile, but he's not known for his running. And they were saying it. The announcers were saying it. The key to keeping him at bay was to move him out of the pocket, and that's what they did. I keep wanting to say that. Dalvin Cook did not do anything in this game. 9 for 13. That's a 1.5 about yards average, and his long was 6, so half of them came on one play, and he had 3 catches for no yards. All right, those are all the games that have been played so far, and now let's talk about that Antonio Brown situation, is all I have to say about that. So, really, as far as I heard, Bruce Arians, the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, wanted Antonio Brown to get into the game. But Antonio Brown was on the sidelines, but he thought he wasn't healthy enough, so he said, no, I don't want to go into the game because I would potentially injure myself, which you don't want because you don't want to risk your own health. Although, you don't want to you should put your team before yourself, but it's your health. You really can't blame him for that. So I understand where his point of view is coming from, but I do think Bruce Arians, he shouldn't have cut him. I mean, the guy's trying to protect his own health. He doesn't want to get hurt out there. He's had that lingering ankle injury, and you don't want him to get hurt. And he said, well, if you're not going to play, then get out. You're cut. He really cut him in the middle of the game, and if you saw, he chucked his jersey into the crowd, left his shoulder pads, and just waved and walked out. Well, I mean, I do not think Antonio Brown will be picked up by another team for a playoff that's hoping to make a deep run into the playoffs. The only little chance I think he has of getting a job is because in his games that he has played, which aren't many, he has had amazing volume. I mean, look at his stats. If you go search up Antonio Brown stats, that's good for like a whole season, and he's only played I think less than half. So that's the only reason you get picked up, because he's having such an amazing season when he does play. I think that will wrap it up for this week. Make sure to watch the Browns-Steelers game tonight, and enjoy football, and I'll see you next week for the week 18 breakdown, unless some breaking news happens in between them. Make sure to listen to the basketball thread I have, And make sure to tune in for episode